Get the best you've got. Extraordinary reports coming out of the Soviet Union. Tales of a being with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal man.
As I said, Mr. President, of course I understand your concern, but I assure you the Luthor Company has this under control.
I don't...
Hi. All right, so were you excited to actually meet First of all,
I was actually. I mean, this is a story that I just visually and I think conceptually was always really interesting.
Right.
Superman is so grounded in most of our minds. He represents American virtues. He has that persona that we know and love. And so when you get to see that change, that twist where he doesn't land in Canada, he lands in the Soviet Union, your mind instantly goes like, okay, what does that look like? Tell me more. How does it shape him? Does he change?
It's like that thing about stories, right? They say like there's only 7 stories ever told. It's how you tell the story. And so I feel like a lot of times I don't really mess with sort of the pieces per se. I try to put myself in the situation and look at sort of turn by turn, like what motivates what, and what to me I feel like is emotionally going to touch me more or impact me. So I think just because again it's such a collective thing, and I don't want to necessarily step on the writer too much, or I don't want to make something that Bruce kind of signed off on. It's just something that is going to go totally like in a direction that they didn't expect. So a lot of times I try to honor plot-wise what the pieces are, but I really just try to sort of like pick and choose. And what do I enhance? What do I bring up? What do I sort of suppress? And how is it
mission oriented? So that was a bit of a challenge. I kept waiting for some American virtues to be, extolled, and they are in a slight way, but really it's a countermeasure to what's going on. To sort of be second in the space race of superheroes was an interesting thing to take on.
I'm sorry, with who? I'm not actually.
TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that is a good question.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like
so it's got to be.
This is from before though, but like I was thinking about like Eisenstein. I know that that's a totally different genre and things like that. But a lot of it is. I don't know. It's like there's just things that I'm interested in. You know what I mean? Like I love the graphic sort of like noirish, graphic, iconic type of things. And so. So anyways, I did not, I wasn't thinking of anybody necessarily in particular. Because if anything, it's like, because we have footage of things that are like, they're supposed to be old footage and we had to grain it up and things like that. But, it's funny because this is just being even nerdier, but we were just looking at, like, we were thinking about like Fleischer and things like that, So, Superior Man was made as basically the atomic bomb. It was the equivalent or the equal of Superman that was constructed in a lab to go take out Superman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So approaching any of the political issues in the film, was there a specific political issue that you wanted to touch on at all, or were you
it's funny because a storyboard supervisor that I work with, we did a lot of work. His name is Chris Berkeley. I need to say his name just so people know, because he did a lot of work on this. I remember when we were starting to work on this, we were talking about communism. This is like, what is it about communism and stuff? But after a while, we just kind of realized that it's sort of about just the broad thing of basically America basically means freedom of speech, individual thought, that type of thing, right? And communism in this case is again it's very general. It's just about a collective, and how do you sort of make it so it's equal, so there's not these extreme sort of highs and lows kind of thing, and everybody is sort of treated fairly. At least that's the ideology that Superman, I think, the Soviet Superman is brought up upon, and that's the thing that he fights for. So again, we didn't get into anything because ultimately those things it would come down to statistics and it doesn't really. It's just technical stuff. You know what I mean? They just need a reason to fight. Why am I invading this area? Why am I, because I believe in this and you don't believe in it. So, so getting into it kind of just took up time. That I just don't think it was necessarily what the story really was about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you probably read the comic when it first came out?
It's funny. I didn't because my comic book buying eras was probably the 80s and the early mid 90s. I think this came out in the late 90s or 2000s, early 2003. Okay, so I was already working at that time and I wasn't reading any. I wasn't buying any comics. I know, even though a lot of people they do still read my comics, but yeah, I hadn't read it, but I had seen posters of it, and I've read the tagline, and I've heard people talking about it, and so I knew about it, but I never actually read it and knew the specifics about it.
And